Kev G, weather overview. This is the winter precipitation outlook from NOAA. They think that there's a pretty high likelihood of above normal precipitation for the 3-month period, basically for the lower 48 states south of the Mason-Dixon line, but you can see that there's equal chances through much of the Northeast, but not for southern New England. They have us at a probability, anyway, of above normal precipitation through the 3-month period. And I think that's indicative of the El Nino pattern. When you get an El Nino to develop, basically what happens is that, in a nutshell, a lot of storms tend to run along the southern part of the United States, and they either go out to sea or they come up the eastern seaboard. And depending on how much cold air we have in place, I think that we would have an opportunity for some significant snow. And you've seen this in El Nino years past. 02, 03 was a big example, and that was quite a snowy winter around here. And there are other more recent examples, but basically the storm track is the key. The storms are either going to go along the eastern southern Gulf states and go out, as we're going to see this week, or they're going to make a run up the eastern seaboard. So for lovers of winter weather, and myself included, I am encouraged at the possibility that we do have a chance at above normal snowfall this year. Now, last year, I thought that we would see at least average snowfall from a seasonal perspective, and that obviously did not happen. We had the exact opposite. So the storm track can push a lot of these possible scenarios for winter weather to our south, and we see that a lot in El Ninos, so it's just going to be something that we keep an eye on over the next 3 to 4 months. Now, in the meantime, it's quiet here. We don't have a lot of weather to speak of through the week, but I think the growing concern for me is that it's going to be a cold turkey day in the northeast part of the United States. Now, we are 10 days away, but the signs are there. And I'll show you what I mean. Now, this southern system, this is kind of a typical El Nino kind of storm track. You see by Tuesday, it's over the mid-Mississippi Valley, and it just kind of lingers there. But high pressure does not let it come up the eastern seaboard. It kind of goes out to sea. Meanwhile, coming up on Friday afternoon, Friday night, we have a front that's going to swing through here with probably some steady rain for Friday night into early Saturday morning, but the southern system never really gets absorbed into the front, or when it does so, it's too late, at least according to the models, so that leaves us high and dry for the majority of the weekend, except for maybe early Saturday morning. Now, once high pressure reestablishes itself, it holds on for the first part of early next week, but then another front comes through around Tuesday or Wednesday. Generally gives us some showers. I don't think this is a big disruption. Now, if you're traveling next week, it doesn't look like a bad week to travel at all. I think aside from these frontal passages, there's not going to be a lot of big storms, maybe except for the Pacific Northwest, where they've had very rainy period over the last few weeks. But other than that, travel is not going to be too terrible for much of the lower 48 states. But what happens by next Wednesday night and Thursday, we get a rush of cold air, and it starts to move in here, and you can see the lines of equal pressure very tightly packed together by Thursday morning, November 23rd. And those little blue numbers are an indicator of where the freezing line is. And the 540 line, that's all the way down near Atlantic City and Wilmington. And this is by Thursday morning, and it never really gets north of Atlantic City for the balance of Thanksgiving Day. So what that tells me is that we're going to have to bundle up for Turkey Day. It's going to be cold and dry here. We're going to have a brisk northerly wind. No real storms to speak of, but that looming specter, if you will, of temperatures going down for Thanksgiving Day is definitely very much on the table. And, it may not last for more than a few days, but you'll definitely notice it for the big holiday. So today, around 47, not a bad day, especially in the sun where it's nice and warm. 50 for tomorrow. And then as we go through Tuesday, not much change in the temperatures. Highs maybe nudging up a little bit to around 53. But all in all, it's mainly dry. No real precipitation until Friday. And then when we look at Wednesday, they have highs around 53. It's going to be chilly at night, but we're used to it this time of year. And then we're going for 60 by the time we get to this coming Thursday. And then before the rain comes in, we have highs in the lower 60s for Friday. And over southern Jersey, they're flirting with 65. So Friday might be the warm day, which precedes the front, which makes perfect sense because that usually is what happens. So there's a lot going on in the long range, but not really so much in the short run, as we have another quiet week of weather leading up to the big feast coming up 10 days from now.